What's up, everybody? Jason Guyman here tonight, and I've got my good friend Chris on here. I always love when Chris comes on. And, this week, I love this because this week was one of those weeks. Actually, last week, I got a comment on one of my pages saying, Jason, you have great content, but there's no way you can get blah 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 in Central or South Florida, and you can only get 20 cents in South Florida. And I used to hear this all the time, and it used to aggravate me, and it still does aggravate me. And that is one of the biggest crocs that people tell themselves. And so that's what I want to hit on tonight. And with that, we got Chris. We're going to talk about who, we'll probably, I have a little bit of an outline, but I like when Chris comes on because a lot of times I just allow the conversation to go where it needs to go at. And so the biggest thing is Chris, he has changed what he has done here recently, but he had an average of over $2,000 average ticket, and you don't get that by bidding 20 cents a square foot or whatever you are by going cheap. And so we will give you tactics on how you can do it, what you can do, and some things that will help you grow your pressure washing and Christmas light business, because this does work for both. And so it is just something that I want to help you guys grow your business. And again, like I said, I always love when Chris comes on because it's a great conversation of what you can do to grow your business. So before we get going here, I want to see, we got Mr. F-Bomb in the house. Hello, anyone home? I was wanting to reach out to you and talk to you about your car extended warranty. Big time in the house. How are you doing? Caesar's present. We got David Hamill. Hey, Chris, hope you had a great cruise. I'm just a little guy. So with that, Chris, just for people that don't know who you are, tell me a little bit about who are you, where you're from, and just a little bit about your background of how did you get started in your pressure washing business in the beginning.
Well, we'll make it quick because a lot of people have heard of me. They've kind of heard my story. Some people may not. So anyway, back in 2005, got saved by the grace of God in an actual OD. I was an 8-year full-blown drug addict up in 2006 is when we actually kicked the pressure washing off because I was unhireable, so I really had to just go find some way to feed my family. And for a while, really wasn't making any progress, no headway. And all of a sudden, I was like, okay, I need to do something. So 2010 come around, we actually went into the corporate world. So we started with Pepsi and grew in Pepsi really, really fast, learned a lot in Pepsi, was there for almost 10 years and went to all the management training classes, all the sales training classes, behavior training classes. Any class they would give, I would take the class. And so in 2019, I still had the pressure washing company, and it had really never done a whole lot, no more than 10 to 15,000 a year max, because it really just was a side hustle at that point. But I kind of got backed into a proverbial wall, and Pepsi said I was actually unpromotable. I had topped out in the company, and I couldn't go any higher without a degree. And so I made a decision in 2019 to leave Pepsi and go full-time exterior cleaning. So that's what we did. And I took all the knowledge that I had learned from Pepsi and poured it into the cleaning company. And we grew over 68% over the next 5 years. We did a little over 100,000 year one. And then we grew to over 600,000, by year 4. And we just grew. So definitely ran a great company. It was a wonderful ride. Me and my wife were just talking about it tonight, and she's like, I really miss Rivertown Pro Wash. And, so now that I don't wash anymore, now I do full-time coaching, training, and speaking. That's a whole nother world. So I'm learning a whole new trade now, a whole new craft. So I'm just about advancing and learning and growing and pushing yourself to limits that you think you have and push beyond them.
Awesome. So tell me, so obviously when you started out a long time ago, your average ticket was probably $200. How did we go from, well, yeah, how did we change? What was the, I'm going to give it away without giving it away. What's the number one mindset that you have to change to believe that you are able to go from a $200 average ticket to a $2,000 average ticket?
Well, first, you've got to believe in you. You know, and it's like, what are you worth, right? And so if you don't have a self-worth that's above status quo, you're never going to believe you can accomplish that. And one thing that Josh Latimer teaches, and it's a great principle. And it's almost the same thing that John Maxwell teaches as one of my coaches that I have, is it's almost the law of the lid. So like Josh teaches it like this. So you've got a comfort zone of where you feel comfortable. And so if your comfort level is $5,000 in the bank, you're fine as long as you've got $5,000 in the bank. You don't really push yourself to do any more. And it's like John Maxwell's law of the lid. You know, as long as you're comfortable under that lid, you don't really try to take the lid off. But when you fall down, so if your comfort level is $5,000 in the bank and you're comfortable there, when that drops to $1,000, all of a sudden, Jason, everybody knows how to make $5,000 and they do it relatively quickly. Well, if you want to raise your prices, raise your comfort level. Make the $200 average ticket uncomfortable and normal that you're going after $1,000 average tickets. Make it normal that, like, honestly, the mind shift of me when I was doing $150 houses, $80 houses, when I started progressing up in years 3, 4, and 5 and really focused on high ticket sales, I would go quote a regular 1,400 square foot house, and I knew walking up to the house that this was going to be a $1,300 house wash. Like, it's a standard cookie cutter home, and I knew that was my base price. And everything from there up, $2,000. But I knew the base price was $1,300.
But Chris, you can't get that in my area.
Well, come to my area. Because I'm in one of the poorest states in the country. I mean, right next to some place in Tennessee. There's not a lot here unless you're in Columbia, Charleston, or Wilmington. There's not a lot in Conway and Myrtle Beach. There's little teeny pockets of deep pockets.
But Chris, you don't understand. We have all these competitors here.
So competitors, I'll tell you what you are when you think about competitors. You're the only competitor you have. See, if I can beat my best, then I've bettered my best. See, I can't compete against other coaches. I can't compete against other speakers. I never competed against other exterior cleaners because you really don't have competition, especially if you do a few good things good. You really don't have competition.
Answer the phone is a really good one to do.
Yes. If you answer the phone and if you'll be really polite and show up when you're supposed to show up and do what you're supposed to do, you can charge really good prices for you and your team and make your team very valuable. And you can do that relatively easy. There's not much competition. There's just not.
So one of the things that why it drives me crazy of listening to people talk about competition and, low areas and, that you can't get it in your area is, again, if you don't believe in yourself, nobody else is going to believe in yourself either. And so it's important that you believe in yourself. And as you do this, and as you said earlier, competition is you, right? Okay, your average ticket is $200. How do I get my average ticket up next week to $250? And just start going week by week, and before you know it, you're going to find out that you will have an average ticket of $1,000. And the thing that drives me crazy is people do not believe in themselves. They're so worried about looking at everybody else's business. They are so worried. But when you do this, and you will see when you answer the phone, most of your customers will be like, well, you're the first one to answer the phone out of 10 people. Well, that tells me that that's not competition. What you're looking at is not competition. And when you do this, this is how you will succeed to fail. Because when you're worried about everybody else's prices, when you're worried about everybody else's thing, this is what happens to you. And here's the deal. You know, sometimes I know you might say, Jason, you just don't understand. I can show you other people in here with average tickets over $1,000. And that's my point, is they're nothing special, right? There's nothing special about anybody. Jason Hefner put over 100 pressure washers in my area. I'm racing against the clock every day. $300 all day, every day. And here's the thing. Jason came to me when I started coaching him. He was in that mindset of, Jason, you can't get that in my area. You know, and that is a mindset that you have to crush. And you know how Jason does it? He listens to motivational speakers every day. He listens to YouTube and different things to tell you that you can do it, right? Because if you don't believe that you can do this, you're right. You're 100% right. You won't get it. You won't get it. So one of the things that I like about and how he's able to do this, if you want an average ticket of $2,000, you don't bid $2,000, right? And so how do you come up with packages to be able to get us a higher average ticket?
So I put a video out the other day on Facebook about packages, and I'm gonna put another one out probably this week. Here's the way I feel about packages. Okay, are you ready? Because this is gonna be really, really, really direct. If you wash roofs and you don't quote the dirty roof, you're a crook. If you know how to clean out gutters, and that's a service you offer, and you don't offer that to your prospect or your client, you're a crook. And the reason I say that is because it should be criminal negligence to know you have a service that can help somebody and you neglect to give it to them because you think they won't buy it. That should be criminal negligence. Because if you will offer everything you do for your customers, you will become the hero of their life. You will help them in ways that they didn't know you could help them. See, they may not know you wash roofs, but if you'll actually let them know you do it, and while you're washing the house, we can treat the roof, and we can put a soft wash with a chemical detergent on your roof to give you a 3 to 5 year kill ratio, and do it every 3 to 5 years, and it's 100% kill, 3 to 5 year warranty. They don't even know that exists unless you tell them. They don't know that you can spot free rinse their windows unless you tell them. They don't know that you can remove the rust off the side of their vinyl house because it's been there for 8 years, but you know how to remove it. And all you got to do is offer it. So guys, the whole theory behind it is to make offers. If you'll offer your services to people, they will gladly pay you in Benjamins.
What about, because this kind of goes that same thing, you know, a lot of people don't realize the value, right? Value-based packages and how the value can definitely help you add value to it. So let's talk about that a little bit. Give me a little bit of what do I mean when I say value, or what do you mean when you say value? Not value cheap price, but value as we are value stacking the customer.
All right, so when you clean the roof, when you put a price on the paperwork, and you've got on there the roof wash, the house wash, the window cleaning, the concrete cleaning, the rust removal. When you do that for somebody, you're creating value. Now, if you're going to the customer and you're actually trying to go for price, you're in a race to the bottom. And I want you to think about that. When you walk in a retail store, every retail store in the Tanger outlet, they're all racing to the bottom. That's why they got 40 and 50 and 60% discounts, because they need you to buy their product when you can go across the street and buy the same thing. So it's a race to the bottom. The only way you can get out of that rat race to the bottom is by creating value. You create value when you actually have more to offer than your competitors. You can actually serve at a higher level than your competitors. That's where you get value from.
Yep. I like what Superior Softwash said. If there's no opportunity to say no, there's no opportunity to say yes. Right? Mm-hmm. Because if you don't offer this and you don't offer the value of it, this is very important. Because here's the thing. Again, you can go and be like, yep, you need, when Miss Jones calls you for a house wash, you can be like, yep, that's $350. And guess what? You're going to get $350, or you're going to get a no. But if you're like, hey, Miss Jones, we can offer this, we can offer this, and we can offer this, and it's a low price of only $2,000, when can we get you signed up? Right? Because now she'll be like, whoa, that's too much. Okay, well, we can knock this off, and now we're at $1,500. So now we just took a $350 house wash to a $1,500 job. Now, I get it. It's not always easy for some of us people to do this. And here's the thing, and this is a mindset, and this is a great book from E-Myth. A lot of us are technician mindset. We have the technician mindset. We have the mindset of wanting to know how to do everything, right? We want to know how to do it backwards, forwards, what chemical we need to use, what lights we need to use. These lights are better. And I can ask some of you and you can spout it all out just fine. But when we go to talking to customers, you don't know how to talk to a customer to save your life. And so this is very, very important. This is probably one of the best skills that you can have. And actually, I was listening to, who was I listening to? A great speaker, a great podcast the other day. And I want to pull it up because I want you all to hear it too. The Ed Milet show. And he talks about the number one skill that you should have is the skill of influence and persuasion. Is the number one skill that you should be able to have, because it's important that you can influence people and persuade them into buying what you need. Now, I'm not saying to rip people off. I'm not saying that at all. If their roof is not dirty, then they just got it put on last week. We don't need to sell them a roof cleaning. That's when you are crooked and ripping someone off. But if their roof is dirty, then definitely we can do that. And so with that, it's one of the things that as I see people that struggle, and as I see people that businesses go out of business, financial is the number one reason why businesses go out, right? Because they don't charge enough. They're in a technician mindset, and they don't know how to get out of that mindset. And so as you are growing your business, and as you, Chris, was going from the $200 to the $2,000 average ticket, what was the one thing that, and I'm going to say what I'm going to kind of hint it to you, when you went to a class, how did that change your thinking from a $200 mindset to a high ticket mindset?
All right, ask me that one more time. When I went to a class.
When you went to the class in 2019 and you got around like-minded people, basically, to make you start thinking it versus being by yourself and I don't need no help and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, so that's how I was. I didn't even know all this stuff existed until 2019. But when I went to my first PWMCA in Myrtle Beach with Jamie Smith, I was hearing people like Raymond Burt, Pat Clark, and they're like doing 800,000, 500,000, a million. And I'm like, hold on a minute. This can't be real. And so as I started learning, I started understanding I never could grow my business at the prices that I was charging. And so I had to immediately shift. So we shifted, and it took me a couple years, to get it up to the $2,000 average ticket. Don't think that's super easy to do, because I'm not going to sit here and make you think that everybody can do that. There's probably less than 3% of all pressure washing companies in America that can do that. There's not very many that are going to get an average of $2,000 ticket. The Lord blessed us extremely well. And so I'm not going to sit here and make you think that just because you're hearing what I'm saying that you can just go do it, okay? I'm not going to do that. That would be wrong of me too. But I will tell you this. There's no reason you can't go get $1,000 to $1,500 average ticket in the next 12 months. That is 100% doable anywhere in this country, and really with very little sales skills. Now, I have a lot of sales skills. I've taught and trained and learned sales for over 12 to 13 years intensively. I understand disc profiling. I understand love language. I understand body language. I know how to connect with people. But an average person that just knows the basics can get $1,000 average ticket in the next 3 months. I can guarantee that. You can do that. 100% you can do that.
So I have different opinions on this, and I'll go back and forth with it because I've seen several different businesses, and I see Robin's asking the question here too. And I've actually got people both ways. But I also know what, and I'm going to bring it back around to this here. But Robin asked, what's the basically in-person quoting versus online quoting?
I'm an in-person quoter, and I know there's a lot of people on this podcast, on other podcasts throughout the country. I fully understand who I'm talking to. There's people, believe it or not, there are literally people, I've seen their websites, that you can go on and click the button and put your own square foot of your house in, count your own windows, and do all this stuff. And it'll give you a price right there on the website, and you've never spoken to anybody. I think that's incredibly crazy. But that's just me. If I had an opinion, I'd probably keep it to myself. But what I will tell you is this. Over the phone quoting, internet quoting, and AI generated conversations will never beat an in-person salesperson ever. It'll never happen, because the connectivity and the relationship is what's building the business for years to come. Now, if you want to do transactional sales, that's over the phone, that's AI generated, that's non-relational. But if you want to build the relationship where you've got a client that's going to give you year after year service with their grandkids, their kids, their nephews, they're going to refer you out, you start that at the ring of the doorbell, at the kitchen table. You build the relationship. Now, that's my personal opinion, and that's the way we did it. It's not the only way to win, because Jason did over the phone quoting and won big too. But the in-person quoting, you're going to get a higher average ticket with a higher close rate but you're not going to be able to quote as many jobs. So you got to give up a little bit to get, so it's give and take, right?
So the reason why I wanted to ask this question too, because I know we've had this conversation before. Could your wife sell just as much or almost just as much as you on the over the phone versus in person?
To repeat customers, yes. 100%. But up front, just people calling, she could sell it. But then the problem come when you didn't know if there was rust. You didn't know, the Google didn't show you a good roof, so you really didn't know the roof was dirty. They installed gutters on Google. It didn't have gutters. Like, there's so many things that we missed with over the phone quoting when she did it, like with, fresh customers. We just had to stop it. But now returning clients, oh yeah, my wife is like golden. Oh God.
Because here's the thing, it's like anything, right? And it kind of goes back to the DISC program of who's our customer, right? We know that 80% of the people are either type S or type C type personalities at the end of the day. And, my wife's a type C personality and she's an introvert and she don't want you to come to our house, right? She's just that type of person. And here's the thing. There is people out there that you can sell to because they don't want to talk to a single person. And, I've got my good friend Jeremy just hit their $1 million this year. That's their fourth year in business. They just hit their $1 million in business here last year. And they go to maybe less than 5% of the people that they go to. And so it is one of the things that, again, they have Jennifer on the phone and she's very good on the phone. And that's one thing that I will say is the difference between, the people. And what I've learned is if you have a female on the phone, it can definitely make a world of the difference. Because here's the difference that I see a lot of men on the phone versus women on the phone is men want to spew all of the stuff about the job, right? They want to talk about the chemicals and the job. Where women will talk to women, which is, we know that 70% of our customers, 80% of our customers are women. And so then they can talk about different things. And again, that's how we got to our $1 million business, was by doing on person. I'm not saying either way. I know some people in Florida that are one town away and one business does it by in person. One person, their close rate is pretty much right on it. And their average ticket is pretty much on it. So I see it both ways. That's the good thing about me being able to see different things is I'm able to see, what works. Both works. I'm not going to say one way or the other. One way is right more than the other. I'm saying that they both work. I'm also saying, though, is if you're a solo guy, it's really hard to do both very well. And so that's where, now my next question is going to be back to, how do you find a good salesman? Because I know that you did do this. And how do you find a good salesman to make sure and teach them? And I know you had to go through a couple, but how do you find a good salesman so that you can get off the truck of not being the salesperson?
Well, I'll get that. Let me touch on one thing back on the in-person and not in-person quoting. I want you to just think about it in the realm of being a service business, right? And in the service business, I want to serve at a higher level. And so if I come to a job to quote a job and everybody else has quoted that job over the phone, I will win that job 100% of the time. That is a guaranteed fact. And I'm going to do that because I'm in person and I'm going to connect with that person and I'm going to make that person feel a way that you never could make them feel on the phone. Now, that's just me, though. Everybody can't do that. And if you're on a truck solo operator, you probably need to quote some over the phone because your time is very limited. And unless you're going to take a day or two off a week, right? And just go quote all day. Then that limits your clean time to only 3 days a week. Then you're limited on income as well. So it's a catch-22. There's 100 ways to skin a cat. Pick your way. and make it effective. That's all I'm going to say. Just make sure you're serving the customer at a high level. Now, with the sales guy, okay, you need to understand personalities when you're hiring a salesperson. Because if you hire the wrong personality type, they're not going to be a service to you. And it's really a bad disservice to them because they're going to feel defeated every week. You know, and you don't want your salespeople to feel defeated because they're not good salespeople. So you need to hire, number one, you need to hire the right personality. You need to look for somebody that's really outgoing. They don't have to be extrovert because actually introverts will outsell extroverts. That's mind blowing, but that's a fact. So they don't have to be like out of the box, jump on the top of the table, and they're the life of the party. That's not what I'm talking about. They have to be the type of person that tries to persuade you on everything that they love. They will tell you all about it and they will tell you how great it is and make you want to buy it. When you meet that person and they've got a great personality, that's a good salesperson. You need to grab them, whether they work at Taco Bell, Food Line, I don't care where they are. You can tell when you've met a good salesperson. They're going to connect with you really, really quick. Headhunt them, get them, and then teach them your ways of how you actually sell, and then let them do it their way. So, because I don't want robots, right? But I do want people to have a line that they stay on track. But I went through a couple sales guys. It was a horrible experience. and then the one sales guy that really took off for us, it broke my brain. He could close people just almost as good as I could. Really, honestly, he started out, and within 3 months, he was averaging $1,200 to $1,500 average tickets, and it was mind blowing to me. So they're out there that can help you, and I'm going to recommend, if you're starting your business, on the chat a while ago saying that they were just getting started and they were ready to jump off the bridge, grab 2 salespeople on your way down. Don't grab an operator. Don't grab an office manager. You grab a salesperson on your way down, and you let somebody start helping you sell right out the gate. That should be your first hire, is a salesperson. Because if you can get leads coming in and you get somebody that can close them, you'll never run out of work. Sales reps are the number one hire if you're starting your business. I'm telling you, trust me, do it.
So as we go, I seen Robin put here, and here's the thing about Robin. He's actually, he was my competitor back in the day. So I had Robin as one competitor. I had Benjamin as another competitor. And I don't even call them competitors because Robin used to feed me a bunch of work. So I wouldn't even call him a competitor. He used to give me all his commercial work. And so I taught him how to pressure wash, and he allowed me. He didn't want to do commercial work back then. I don't even know if he still does or not. But he put agree. Where did it go? My computer's being retarded. He put agree. We don't do in person. We land at 72% of our new customer estimates need to raise prices. Do I feel like we are missing upsells? Yep. But that's one less truck on the road, less people on payroll, less insurance being paid. So I feel like the trade-off is fine. My girls in the office are animals. You may as well get out the checkbook if they get into you. And this is kind of back into, Robin's wife is a beast, and I know their new employee, just from what I've heard from her, she's a beast. And so it can work either which way. But what I will say is just the biggest thing is you just got to go out there and do it. It's going to be scary. It's going to be hard. It's not easy. Running a pressure washing Christmas light business is not easy. I know Steven does a bunch of door to door, right? And he puts lots of them. My first hire was getting sales rep, lots of them. And he does a lot of door to door. And so, it's one of those things that you get a lot of no's. And so you just got to keep going out there. And as my one friend Dan says, every no is closer to a yes. And when you're first starting out, it can be hard. It's not easy to sit there and get those no's, but you know what? You can do that. And that is 100% what you got to do. If you're not willing to go out there and, if you're just starting out, a lot of people want to go learn get all the equipment and go $20,000, $30,000, $50,000 in debt and get all of this awesome equipment. But that awesome equipment won't get you no business. It will never get you no business at the end of the day. It might get you a little bit, but it's not going to get enough to sustain you and keep you in business. I know, I've seen it happen over and over and over. And so it is important that we make sure that we keep doing this. Now, one thing that to be able to get to the sales point, what did you do in your business for marketing wise to get the phone to ring? Because I know you didn't just have one lead source, because I remember the one time you had like 21 lead sources. So yeah. What are some ways that you got business for your business to be able to get to the point of closing these people at the higher average ticket?
So if you're, it's a double-edged sword. Okay, so I'm going to speak to two different people. One of you are solopreneurs and your money's very limited. If you're limited on funds, that means you're not limited on time. You have more time than you have money. So use what you have to grow where you are, okay? Take your time and take your business cards and go door to door and buy you a little scooter or skateboard or whatever. I don't care what, just do whatever you got to do, a bicycle, and go door to door and put them on every door in the neighborhood. You can knock doors if you want. I would save time and I wouldn't knock doors. I would just go through and just put them on every door and just do as much as you can do with the time you've got, okay? As you start getting some money that you can buy marketing, I would do yard signs first. If it were me, I would do yard signs first. And you can buy yard signs for $4 to $5 a piece. You may can get them a little cheaper. David Hamill, he puts out 75 to 8,000 yard signs a year. That's not a joke. That's real. He's incredibly wild on yard signs. It works, guys. And I'm telling you, you need to put yard signs out. Get 100 yard signs and put them at, I'm going to tell you where I put them. So if you've ever been to a Goodwill, there are very, very ritzy people that shop at Goodwill and drop off their clothes. I want a yard sign outside of Goodwill. I want a yard sign outside of the Publix because more people shop at Publix that are higher end people. I want outside of where a Ruth's Chris would be. Outside of all gated communities. You may not want to put it across the road from the gated community because it won't last but about a day. But if you come out that gated community, they have to make a left or a right. They only get two options, right? Left or right, or straight across. Wherever that road goes, at the end of that road, I want a yard sign. I want yard signs where every person that's my customer, now that's a whole nother subject, but whoever I'm looking for that's going to call me, I want my yard sign in front of them immediately. And then you can start doing other things. Yard signs, flyer, mail, Facebook posts, which Facebook really didn't do a lot for pressure washing, but at least it kind of gets your name out there. And you can do little Facebook ads where you can actually target over top of little neighborhoods, little half-mile clicks, and you can drop a Facebook ad like over top of a gated community. That may help you a little bit. But the yard signs, the Everdoor direct mail, the flyers, the networking, I'm going to tell you something I didn't do that I regret with all my heart. And I'm going to tell you this from the bottom of my heart. If you own a service business, you need to join every chamber that's in your community have y'all noticed I've been looking at the wrong camera the whole time? I got two cameras on my desk and I'm looking at the wrong camera and I just realized I'm looking at the wrong stupid camera. But join every chamber that's in your community. Don't just join it. Go to the networking events. I believe that would be the fastest way to grow your business when you don't have a lot of money. You join the chamber for a couple $100, go to the events, they're free, shake hands with everybody there, give business cards to everybody there. They all own businesses and every one of them own houses. Guys, that's the fastest way to do it, but you just got to do it. Like, the only thing, Jason, about it is nobody does it. You got to do it.
Well, and not just do it one time. You got to do it and do it and do it. And next week you got to do it. And next year you got to do it. And the next year you got to do it. And if you get a shiny object, you don't go and quit doing that and put all your money over there. You still got to keep doing that. But then you can add this, and then you can add that, and then you can add this, right? And so that is definitely something that you have to do to be able to keep doing it. Because if you stop, I see so many people will find something that will bring in business, and then they hear on Facebook that they can do something else, then they go do that, and then they quit doing this, and then they wonder why it's not working, because you got to keep doing it and doing it, right? Like we just do it, as Stephen says, because here, when you get that no, you got to keep going. And next week, when you don't feel like it, you got to keep going and get into that routine. Consistency is definitely the number one thing that's going to grow your business. You got to consistently do whatever you need to do to keep it going.
Mm-hmm.
So, being that a lot of times when you're on the phone, you ain't got to worry about this as much, but as in person, how do you overcome objections? If the price is too high, got to talk to my spouse. What are some tips and tricks that we can do to help overcome those objections?
One really simple way to overcome objections is deal with them during the presentation. And this is where more in-person quoting kind of helps, because you can slow down the process, where over the phone quoting is kind of rapid fire, because people are on the phone, they're not wanting to stay on the phone 30 minutes. See, at my sales presentation, it can take up to 45 minutes to an hour just in conversation. It's not fast. I take my time. And the objection overcoming starts when the doorbell rings. So I'm asking them up front, why'd you call us out? What seems to be the part of the house that really, really pains you? And so I'm listening and I'm gathering data the whole time so that I understand why they called me in the first place. I know what the pain points are. I know how soon they want to get it done, because I'm asking them this as we do the first walk around. They're showing me everything. And we're really talking about all the things that they want to happen in this conversation. And so as we're unpacking that, we're able to understand their wants, their desires, and their needs. And so when we get to the kitchen table and we're actually talking, when an objection comes up, I look at them as an opportunity. So anytime we get an objection, I've gotten objections. I've gotten a bunch of objections. I've gotten a bunch of sales I didn't land. And here's what I've learned. Every time an objection comes up is something that you didn't explain properly, or they're just not wanting to buy at the time and they're trying to get out of it. I want you to understand one thing about objections. The first 1, 2, and possibly 3 objections that you get are all smoke screens. They're all lies. Buyers are liars. So when they say, I have to talk to my wife, that's really not true. And if it is true, I'll find out. But usually that's just a way for you to get to go, because you know they can't make the decision. One way we overcome that decision is right at the doorbell ring and at the phone call. Hey, we need both parties there, you and your wife. That way we can sit down and have a conversation together. And then when I get to the door, hey, so is Miss Mary here with you, or is it just you? It's just me. Well, when would Miss Mary be back? Probably about 5 o'clock this afternoon. Well, you remember on the phone we talked about having both of you here? Oh, well, I can make a decision without Miss Mary. Okay. So you can like seal the deal. Like when we're done, like you can make a decision. Yeah. That objection will never come back up. I just dealt with it at the doorbell. And so just what I challenge you tonight. I know we're running low on time, but write down all the objections that you currently get, whether it's price, whether it's timing, whether it's they just don't like you, whether it's I got to talk to my spouse, whatever the objection is, write down the whole list of them. Then I want you to prepare your sales speech, your presentation, and deal with those objections throughout the presentation. Go ahead and deal with them. And when you get to the end, you can literally say, now, is there anything that you would want to ask that I hadn't went over that you would want to know more about? No. Okay, fine. And just turn the paper around. Well, here's option A. So all we need is 20% down today, and we can be here by next Friday. Boom, done. Did that help kind of a little bit?
Yeah. I mean, someone can take that and go after these objections, because the worst thing you want to do, and I've seen it happen more and more times than I hate to say, is they get an objection and they'll say, okay, and then walk out the door and not even hit it, right?
Yes. Yes.
And I'm saying that, and it's not even funny. You know, I do enough marketing for people, and I listen to it on the phone, and I hear that more times than I can say I would like to hear it, right? Because it's just you're not been trained. You don't know what you don't know the things that you should know that will help you get better at this, right? Because you know, I always try to put up books of the week, and I always try to do different things for you guys to help keep you. I gave you all a podcast tonight that can help you. And, you know, it's one of the things that I'm here to help you grow your business. I want you to be successful. I want you to get to where you need to be at, or where you want to be at, because you are an amazing human being and you can do amazing things. You know, I see a lot of people believe that they can't, and they were told as a kid that they couldn't do something. And you know, what is it? By the age of time you're 7, your brain will start telling you later on what people told you when you were 7. And so if you were told that you're stupid, or you especially, we know that most entrepreneurs were C-type person, or they were getting C's in their classes. And so that means you're not the brightest in the bulb of when you were in school, but you can do an amazing thing for the side of an entrepreneur. And so these are things that you have to overcome, and you have to tell yourself. It's back to what I was saying with Jason is he listens to motivational speeches every day. So that way it's getting into his brain that he is awesome and he can do it and he is amazing and you are awesome and you can do it. And if you don't believe that, then nope, I can't push it into you and nobody else can push it into you. But you have to start listening to it so you can absorb it and you start believing what you hear, and then you can go out there and you will be able to ask for higher prices. You'll be able to ask for the $2,000 average ticket or just a $2,000 ticket. You know, I know people that have never given out over $1,000 ticket, and then they wonder why they've never gotten over $1,000 ticket. It's like, well, have you ever quoted that? Well, no, I don't know what would be to get me there. Well, that's part of it. You know, when I see people send me, or, you know, they comment on my videos and say, Jason, that sounds good, but you can't get that in South Florida. Well, you believe that. And if you believe it, guess what? it's true. You're right, 100% right that is true. But you can overcome it, and it's not something that is going to happen overnight. It can if you start believing and you start doing the things you need to do to believe. And the first thing is I know it, because what'll happen is they'll say, well, Jason, I tried that and that didn't work. Okay, how many times did you try it? Well, I tried 2 times. Well, guess what? We know that I can show you the people that I talked about getting to $1 million, their close rate is 30 to 40%. So guess what? That's 6, 7 no's to 3 to 4 yeses. So you got to go out there and get the no's. Every no, you're closer to a yes. And that's how you're able to do it. And when you do this, it's amazing that what you can do and what you can accomplish. I see several people in comments here, and some of them I would have never. I quit. When I used to come into a class, when I do my classes, I used to look at people and be like, nah, that person. I quit doing that because the people that are actually making it sometimes shocked me, right? It's not what I always believed, but they had more passion. They had the heart. They went out there and got it done. And that's what making them successful. And so, if you want to be successful, you got to start writing it down. Write down your vision, write down your plan, and don't be small. Go out there and write down where do you want to be at in 5 years? How many trucks, and have that vision. Set that vision. Is it going to change? Maybe, maybe not. You never know. If you don't set it though, you'll never get it. So talking about training, Chris and I are going to be doing a training in Myrtle Beach. And you might say, well, I've been in business for 5 years. Well, this could be for you too, because one, it'll teach you the systems. The Friday is pressure washing, teaches you systems. Make sure you have your systems right. Make sure you can teach your employees systems. If you're not new, we'll learn all of that. But Saturday is really the gold. Saturday is honestly what you come for. That's what grows your business, right? And again, I always talk about Friday being, it's the fun part, but honestly, Saturday is the part that grows your business. And on this one, the last time I was at Myrtle Beach was the first time is how I started changing up my class of doing actual, being that Chris is a big on big on in person. We did a bunch of talking to each other. Now I do it in all my classes, but it'll be way better when Chris is there because he can critique it better. And so, but it's one of the things that it's the thing that even people that have been in business for a long time get uncomfortable doing, just to talk back and forth to try to do the reps, because I want you to break the ice. I want you to help, even on my even Friday, and then Sunday will be permanent lighting. So if you want to do permanent lighting, you can check it out. Also, so if you want to learn permanent Christmas lights, you can check that out. So Sunday is permanent Christmas lights, Friday is pressure washing, and then Saturday is all day there. We give you all the meals. We'll be there for lunch. I think we're going to do dinner. So it's at Chris's in his garage where he's at now. And so it is definitely something that I will promise you it will set you apart. I always tell people is if I want you to be able to 10x this, and you should be able to do 10x no problem. And one of the things that I've learned, and as Chris said earlier, when you get around smart people, honestly, it's fun to come to these classes. That at my own classes, I've got to meet some pretty awesome people. People coming for the permanent lights, people coming for different things. They own a different business that's doing $5 million, or they're one of the biggest Christmas light business. And so the networking is probably one of the best things that you can do for this. So whether you're just starting, or maybe you want to learn how to do sales better, maybe you want to grow better and you want to come for the Saturday and maybe that Friday to learn how to do the things that you probably need to do in order. That is what we're going to be doing in February. I believe it's February 8th, 9th, and 10th, I think. It's that Friday, Saturday of that. You can go to kpwtrain.com. It'll take you to that page that you need. Or if you're on the Christmas Light site, you can go to christmaslights.io/IPT, in-person training. So, Chris, what do you have to say about that?
I say get in the room. Um, get in the room, because here's the reality. If you're not in the room, you can't learn the thing. And it could be one thing. You could learn one nugget, just one nugget that could give you $100,000 ROI. And you can't learn it if you're not in the room. Things happen in the room. Like the event I had in October last year, it was my first ever growth conference 2024. We had about 10 people there. But day 2 of the event, I taught a little thing on disc for like an hour. And after lunch, everybody in the room wanted more of that. And so I threw the whole script out, and we did a sit down table talk for 4 hours on how disc works and how to actually use it in your business. And that was the most dynamite thing that everybody wanted when they left that room. And so you never know what you're going to get when you're in the room. You just never know. So I'm going to say, come to the event. It's at my place. It's nothing spectacular, but we're going to have a good time. We're going to grill out some food. We're going to have some really, really intimate conversations. We're going to help you transform. That's the whole goal of doing this. I want to see you transform, and I want to see your life be better because of being around us and us around you. I want my life to be better because you were here. I want to learn something from you. And so we need each other. I just say come to the event, get in the room, be open-minded, and be willing to learn. There's plenty of room to park trucks. F-bomb asked about a truck. Yeah, there's plenty of room here. I got 2 acres. I ain't running out of parking.
So, last words of encouragement, Chris.
Believe, here's what I'll tell you. There's dreamers, there's designers, and there's doers. And if all you are is a dreamer, you'll fail. If all you know how to do is dream and then design it, you'll fail. You need to be a dreamer, a designer, and a doer. And you will create a path of success that will blow your mind. And that's the secret recipe. Dream it, design it, and do it.
And don't let perfection kill your dream.
Yeah, don't do that. Progression's all we care about, not perfection.
Yep. I agree. Well, thank you all for coming on tonight. Again, go check it out. I can't wait to be there and see you all in person, learn and grow. And I guarantee you, you will get way more than what you get in, what the price is. It's one of the things that I love the in-person training. I still do it. It's one of my favorite things to do because I feel like a lot of times that's where I'm able to help you out and help you grow your business. But with that, hope you all have a great night, and we'll see you all later.
See ya. Thank you.
Hang on.